big news of the day, though. Kevin Stefanski announced he's turned the play calling over to offensive coordinator Tommy Rees. My first blush reaction to this, Jake, when you do it 2 years in a row, I have a real hard time thinking that then next year you can take back the play calling duty and then think that everyone's just going to be copacetic with that. But I think this is a pure reflection to an offense that has been awful. And no other really way to slice it and dice it, just has not performed. But how much of this do you feel like is a reflection of what you saw with Joe Flacco thriving in Cincinnati?
I don't really know that it's anything, because I sit here and I'm like, okay, well, if it's going to change from Kevin to Tommy Rees, like, I just don't really know what's going to change by actually switching up the plays that are being called. Still the same playbook. Still everything's, I haven't looked at it and been like, oh, I wonder why the Browns are running in this situation and not passing, or why a screenplay was called. Like, there are moments like that, but it's not what's holding back.
We did that with Dylan Gabriel when he dropped back 58 times. Like, maybe Tommy Rees wouldn't have that in his pocketbook.
I mean, I guess that's fair. Most of the times it's not situational. It's usually the entirety of the offense that I look at, and I'm like, this just has no way of working at all right now. Like, the pieces don't work.
The pieces might not work, but watching Joe Flacco play the way that he did yesterday and continuing to play the way that he did, first person to have over 450 yards throwing in a game with his age attached to it. First 450-yard game of Joe Flacco's career. The man's been in the league for 18 seasons, and it wasn't just, there were 2 touchdown passes to guys not named Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, okay? It just wasn't those 2 guys, even though that obviously is a part of it. And I wonder if this is Stefanski having his aha moment. Not necessarily because the Browns offense was so bad, but because Joe Flacco was able to be in Cincinnati and able to thrive as quickly and as meticulously as he's been able to. Like, it feels like one of those things where you can't run from it being anything but you being part of the problem when you see Joe Flacco go out and have that amount of success.
Yeah, I mean, I see that end of it. A lot of it to me is just, and I think Miles said this earlier on this year, where it was like, Joe, as weird as it was to see him succeed in 2023 and then come here and do it in a very similar offense, it's also not the offense set up for Joe Flacco to succeed in his current state. Like, Joe going there, yes, it went from, it looked like he's washed, he's not washed, but it's not like all of a sudden he's ripping off 25-yard runs and looks mobile. It's, they spread out the field. Cincinnati has a very pass-heavy
He's actually
offense.
throwing the ball.
Yeah.
His ADOT was at a 5 when he was with the Browns. That was the lowest in the NFL, and now it's through the roof once again. And like, these are the obvious layups that these teams, at least it seems like the Browns, missed. How is Joe Flacco throwing the ball 5 yards at an attempt and making that what his bread and butter is when he can do it? And when we watched in preseason, all the takeaway that anyone had is, oh, Joe's arm is still awesome. Joe can still just throw it a million yards down the field. Yeah,
and I mean, we saw that last year with the Colts. We saw that 2 years ago at the Browns. It's like, yeah, okay, Joe can sling it. Like, he is a gunslinger, and you let him throw the ball down the field. You let him read the field as an 18-year veteran. Like, you just let him go out there and play the game, and it feels like the Browns went the complete opposite way, where it was, okay, Joe, we're not going to turn the ball over. We're going to play this ultimately safe. We're going to rely on the run game. And it's like, yeah, I mean, if everything works out perfectly, that might be the best way to operate the offense in general. But as long as Joe Flacco's back there, that's never going to be the best way to operate the offense.
So I look at that as a pure reflection of Stefanski. I don't know who else to call that as far as a reflection of. Like, that game plan, that script, whatever you think that is, where it limits and it puts these golden handcuffs on Joe Flacco, that's a reflection of Stefanski. And so this might be just the admission and watching Flacco do it in a different spot of like, oh, maybe I don't have the right idea. I've said a couple weeks ago, I think Stefanski's brain is fried. I think it's just cooked right now. I think he's so scared to throw the ball down the field. I think he wants to do the check down Charlie nonsense, and I think he thinks it's the only way that he can win. And maybe that's a lack of belief in the players. Maybe it's a lack of belief in the quarterback. Call it whatever you want, but he's not calling these games right. And to have someone like Joe Flacco be able to pull it off within days of when you were within this roster and on this roster, that's got to be alarming. Like, the sirens have got to be, they got to be going off in Stefanski's mind. And I if it didn't play a part into it, I'd be shocked. He'll never admit it. We're never going to get that admission that anything that Joe Flacco did impacted this decision in any sort of way. But if it didn't, I'd be shocked, Jake.
Yeah, but it's okay. So if I sit here and I go, okay, well, Stefanski's just broken, which means the scheme that he's running is also kind of broken, right? Because he's relying on it so heavily. We've seen multiple quarterbacks where it hasn't worked. Guys like Joe where it makes sense when it doesn't work, and guys like Dylan where it kind of doesn't make sense when it doesn't work. Like, that's what he's set up for, to the point where if you're the X's and O's guy and this is what you do and you're not the type of coach that people are going to go run through a wall for, if you give up play calling in back-to-back years, and this was supposed to be we go back to the Stefanski scheme and the scheme's going to carry it all, what are you doing here? Like, It feels like this is sort of the nail in the coffin for Kevin of I give up play calling again. I'm admitting that what I do well, which is calling plays and having a scheme that works, isn't working right now. It's a question of what are you providing. If you're giving that up twice, there's clearly a lack of confidence in yourself that even you do that right now.
So it's interesting. I want to hear from you guys. 216-474-0092. Is this the nail in the coffin for Kevin Stefanski when you give up play calling for the second straight year? What's interesting is there was some discourse online. I saw some people making the claim that this is his way of keeping his job, as if he's trying to make this move in thinking about long-term gains and keeping up everything that he needs to. I'm with you on this one. Like, to me, it reads about as cooked gets. But when he gave it up last year to Ken Dorsey, like, part of the admission there I thought that Stefanski was making is that he thought the offense was never going to do anything, and he wanted to basically rub the stink off of himself. He didn't want to attach himself to that bad of an offense so he could still keep this I'm a wizard type reputation that he has. And I wonder if this is the same thing. Like, there's not a realistic expectation for Tommy Rees to thrive here, is there?
No, I mean, there's almost none, but this is the thing. Like, when he did it last year with Ken Dorsey, it was a lot of ways a Ken Dorsey-style offense. Like, Kevin was outside of his element. Like, I mean, we both talked to Coach Ray's.
And they tried to make it really towards Deshaun Watson and his strengths as well. Yeah, and then he got injured, so it was what it was.
We both talked to Coach Riz. Coach Riz will always say, like, as a coach, you only know what you know, right? And that's why with the scheme, Kevin knows all the counters to his own offense. He knows what the counter move to those counters are and where you have to go. Like, when you give it up in that sense, it was, okay, well, maybe Kevin's just not comfortable running the offense. And let it go onto Ken Dorsey's shoulder. If you're not comfortable with the play calling, maybe Ken is. And you do get yourself away from this offense if it is just flat out bad. When it's your own scheme, it's like, okay, well, this is everything you wanted to do. And you and Tommy built this thing together, but it's mostly Kevin's offense. And when Kevin can't get it right, it's like, I don't think you get to wipe that stink away from yourself. It's your offense. Yeah. You built this thing from the ground up for the last X amount of years, dating prior to Cleveland, and now it can't work.
Well, but so is it a Hail Mary attempt to try to get it to work? Or because if it works, then it also is a poor reflection of Stefanski as well. You see, he almost has himself in a lose-lose here. You know, like I tell people like yourself in sports arguments, you want to try to make it so that you end up in a win-win situation. So that either way, no matter I always put myself in lose-lose situations. Need to make that abundantly clear. I'd love to put myself in more win-win situations, but like you want to put it where you can make an argument where you can win either way, right? That's usually that's a good way to operate within yourself. In this instance, it almost feels like Stefanski's got a lose-lose. Because if the offense ends up being good, then that's a poor reflection of Stefanski being broke, as we talk about. And if the offense just flat out stinks, it's not like anyone's going to turn around and be like, oh, I guess nobody could have done it with this offense. Not when Tommy Rees is a first-time offensive coordinator and is basically a baby as far as the profession is concerned. Like this is in many ways, a lose-lose for Stefanski.
Yeah, I don't know where you go from here where it actually fixes itself. Like, what does Kevin do that makes this a win for himself? I can't find it. Like, either way, like you said, it's a lose-lose. It looks bad on Kevin. I don't know. He's not a CEO. That's not what he does. Like, he's not the type of guy that can just move pieces and parts around. He's cycled through offensive coordinators, both probably of his own choice and not of his own choice. But he's had a bunch of different guys in his system, moved everything around, and the offense is still the part that has not worked here.
If you live with the idea that he loves Dylan Gabriel, then this is the most surprising news of the century, because it's supposed to be his guy, it's supposed to be his quarterback, but it feels like the Titanic is going down and he's abandoning ship.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, I mean, part of me feels bad. Like, we're trying to, obviously, in a lot of ways, like, big brain, okay, is this Kevin trying to take his, like, make sure that his job is secure? Is this him not realizing it? I almost feel like this is probably Kevin trying to do the right thing by the offense. He's watching it go out there and not be able to succeed and going, we have to find something that'll work. Maybe it's me. I'll take myself out of it, let somebody else do the job and see if they can do better. But yeah, I mean, it very much gives the opposite impression, right? Is that you're thinking more long-term, this offense isn't good, maybe I can just rid myself of it. But I feel like, I don't know, if you put true serum to Kevin Stefanski, feels like maybe this is, I really do just want to try to find a way to make this thing work. Because ultimately, if we keep playing offense like this, and we're not putting up points, well, the record's going to doom me anyway.
Well, okay, so let's play this out then. Last year when Ken Dorsey wasn't able to make it work, then Ken Dorsey got fired, and everyone seemed to be pretty thrilled with that because Ken Dorsey didn't seem like he was good at his job. Tommy Rees, young, supposed to be a good name across the NFL. If Tommy Rees flames out as well, do you fire him? Like what's the long-term play here? You can't just have him do the play calls next year. Are you going to try to I don't understand the long-term play. If this is a game of chess, it feels like he's only thinking about one move ahead. He's not thinking about 3, 4, 5 moves ahead. And maybe that just showcases the idea that he's really just trying to keep his job. And when you're desperate and you're trying to keep your job, you're going to play one move ahead instead of 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, you just take it step by step. I mean, this is the type of move, though, where Kevin now, at least as a head coach of the Cleveland Browns, could, I think, never take play calling back. Right? Like, I don't think there's any point, even if you fired Tommy Rees next year, hired a new OC, I don't think the fan base, and I don't know that Jimmy Haslam would be sitting there being like, oh, yeah, no, it's okay. You call
Which is a shocker to me, all things considered. And I want your input, 216-474 below 92. Will this change anything with the offense? It's a shocker, Jake, because for the longest time, I thought that Stefanski would rather not coach than not call the plays. Like, I thought he loved it so much. Like, to me, the fun part of this game for Stefanski was calling plays. We've highlighted it's not being a rah-rah guy. It's not running through a brick wall. It's not the emotional speeches. It's not learning about the players and tapping into. That's not what he likes the most. He likes the actual, not to use chess again, but the chess game that's on the field, the X's and O's, the dialing up plays. That's what he likes.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, I wonder, like, is that going to be Tommy Rees too? Because one of the major things, and Kevin had even hit on it during the bye week, was like, okay, I'm watching Jerry Jeudy get 4 targets in a game, while your second and third wide receivers are Isaiah Bond and Jamari Thrash.
Yeah, he got 2 targets the last game, and then in the post game, Stefanski was like almost puzzled by it, as if he wasn't the one calling plays.
Right, it's like every other play caller in the NFL would be like, why don't I just call something that puts the ball in that guy's hands, right? Whether it's an end around, whether it's a screen, just get that guy touches and we hand it to the best players on our team. And then Kevin's just puzzled, like, I can't get the ball to Jerry Jeudy. Like, is Tommy Rees going to be the opposite philosophy? Because in a lot of ways, Kevin is, my scheme is like lay of the land, right? We're just going to run it. The guys who are open will be open because the scheme works that way. And you're going to be able to hit the open guy. Don't worry about who's actually running it. I don't care who's actually in the route. They should be open based on the scheme. Is Tommy Rees actually going to give me the opposite, where it goes, okay, I have Quinshon Judkins, I have Jerry Jeudy, I have one of my tight ends. The ball should practically be going to them 80% of the time, and I'm going to force it and make sure that happens, because that probably helps your offense out a little bit.
Maybe, but it also then flies in the face of what he was saying, and we played this for you guys on Friday with the coaches show on Thursday. Did he not, Jake, make the case that a lot of these plays had receivers that were down the field and were open?
Yep, tried to make that claim.
If anything, he bus tossed Dylan Gabriel in the process of saying that the guys are open and he's not the one hitting these guys, and he's got to find a way to push it down the field. Well, if you believe that to be true, and maybe Stefanski's just lying and putting that out there, but if you believe that to be true, and I think it is, then why would you give this up if this is what you think you do best at, and also had the schemes that were working right? It was just the quarterback that wasn't hitting them.
Well, this is the thing that I think really just levels it all, and it tells you how dysfunctional the entire thing is. Like, nobody in that room has any answer for what's happening on the offense and how to truly fix it. It feels like they're all just palms in the air looking at each other being like, you got anything? Like, we're all trying this over and over again, and it feels like we're slamming our head into a brick wall because there's guys open, so my play calling's not the problem. But here, Tommy, you try. You see if you can get Dylan Gabriel to throw to the open guy.
Yeah, sometimes it's not a bad idea just to try to mix it up a little bit, but he's got to see the optics here. He's got to see you can't give it up back-to-back seasons in a row and then expect us to, just welcome you back next year and say, okay, now you get the play calling duty again?
I mean,
until when? Until with this year, it's week 9 in the bye week. Last year, it was week 7 that he gave it up. We're just going to wait till week 10 next year?
Like, I don't think I've seen a head coach really once ever give up play calling and then take it back and just be like, oh, this was successful. Certainly not twice.
Not twice.
You don't give it up twice and then keep your job and be like, all right, next year's the year. Now the offense will function under me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head. I'm sure there's one that exists, but usually when you give up the play calling duty, that is the sign of you not being able to do it, and you're not gonna get it back. And that is, and now typically, so when Stefanski was earlier in his coaching tenure, I actually thought the legitimate case for him getting rid of his play calling was that the game seemed like it was too fast for him, and it seemed like he wasn't able to do the other parts of the game and being a head coach that mattered the most because he was so buried in his Denny's play sheet and he just didn't have it all put together. I actually think he's gotten better at a lot of the what we would call like a game theorist at MIT would be hired for, like those type of moments in the game. I actually think he's gotten better at that. And so it's confusing to me that he would take this step thinking that Tommy Rees could do something better and deliver something better, but he's just a desperate man at this point. That's all it is. He's a desperate man on a losing team, and he's trying to do anything he can.
Yeah, where it sets you up to be fired, though, is like, if I'm Jimmy Haslam and I'm evaluating the head coaching spot right now, at the end of this year, obviously, they're not firing anybody.
You're going to do the what do you do here thing.
Yeah, but, okay, if I let Kevin be the head coach, not be a play caller, am I actually going to look at the coaching carousel and say, there's not a better guy who can do that? If this works under Tommy Rees, and I can keep Tommy Rees as my OC, if I just need a different head coach, I can put another different OC in there.
Jake,
somebody does it better.
This is going to be awful for Stefanski and the image that he knows what he's doing if Dillon Gabriel looks awesome this next week.
Which he very well might be playing the Jets.
Dillon Gabriel is great. And yes, you're right. It's the Jets. They're not a very good football team, obviously. But if Dillon Gabriel looks great and the offense all of a sudden looks like it's humming, there's nobody else to point to but Kevin Stefanski and being like, oh, okay, so that's you were the problem. Yeah, we've thought it for a while, but you were clearly the problem. That'll be worse than Joe Flacco being awesome in Cincinnati right now. Is Dillon Gabriel actually looking awesome this next week against the Jets and it looking like a completely different offense?
Yeah, okay, so
for Stefanski, obviously, and obviously the win matters. The wins do matter, and so he'll have that benefit to himself as well, Jake. I had to make that point clear because people think that Stefanski's rooting for wins still. He needs that in order to save his job, but also how the optics look is a very important part of this too.
But so I'm sitting here and we've laid out 15 different avenues where they basically all look pretty bad.
A lot of avenues, yeah.
Is it Kevin giving up the play calling then? Is somebody else making that call from above to be like, all right, you're done? Is that Andrew Berry? Is that Jimmy Haslam just being like, okay,
is that DePodesta? I don't know. Right. I told you before, I really don't think he'd ever willingly give it up. I don't think he willingly gave it up last year either. I thought that was an over his dead body thing. I know it's been reported counter to that, but I really don't buy anyone that says that Stefanski just said, I'll give it up because it's what I have to do. And I know he's going to phrase it the way that he's got to phrase it here. I just think he likes this part of the game too much. And also, I think he goes to bed at night thinking that he's Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, I think he thinks he's awesome at this. And when you think you're awesome at something, no part of you is going to be like, well, let me give it to that guy to do. That's just not how we think as humans.
No, you would continue to do that as long as you possibly can, where now it's, I don't know, this feels like almost Kevin is, in a way, a dead man walking.
Well, think about it this way, Jake. If, let's say at the night show, and I know you're doing great at the night show, obviously, but if the night show happened where the ratings were stumbling or something like that, and the bosses came down and they're like, hey, listen, man, We like you a lot, but something's got to change here, or else you're going to be out the door. Are you going to go ahead? Would you continue to do it in a solo avenue and be the person that puts together everything, because you got to do everything at night, puts together everything, does everything, and bet on yourself? Or would you say, oh yeah, no, that's great. Let's bring in this other host from Portland, and he's going to go ahead and save the day. Which one are you going to bet on? You're probably betting on yourself now.
Exactly.
Because that's what we do as humans. We bet on ourselves. If we think we're good at anything in life, you bet on yourself. And that's what's made it confusing. Last year with Stefanski, it makes it confusing right now. Because I don't think that Stefanski really believes Tommy Rees, a first-year OC at 32 years old, can call plays better than he can. There's no way in hell that he goes to bed thinking that guy knows what he's doing more than I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, by the way, I love that it's like an OC hire, especially when you're an offensive mind, let's bring in Tommy Rees. He probably has a way to spice up the offense, probably in the more innovative ways in the game, can introduce things but you don't hand over the entire offense to him. It's not like he's sitting here with basically Jim Schwartz of the offense, right? Where the guy's been doing it for decades, and you just go, okay, well, maybe he does have something that I don't have. It's like, no, I've learned all of the struggles that you still have to go through over the past, 20 years. Why would I hand things over to you and think that it's going to work better now?